Let's dive straight in.
The first recorded VR-related death. January 2019. Shanghai, China.
A 21-year-old man named Wu Tai walked into a VR arcade with 3 friends.
It was around 7:30 p.m.
The place was packed with neon lights, loud music, and motion platforms shaking under players' feet. Wu picked a VR rhythm and survival game. Something like Beat Saber mixed with obstacle dodging. He strapped on the headset, adjusted the controllers, and started playing. At first, it looked normal. He was laughing, swinging his arms fast, trying to keep up with the beats. Staff later said he played non-stop for almost 40 minutes, heavier than most players could handle. His heart rate was visibly high. Sweat was dripping down his face.
Around 8:15 p.m.
Things changed. The footage shows Wu suddenly slowing down. His movements became shaky. He took one deep breath, dropped a controller, and collapsed straight to the floor. Everyone thought he tripped. His friends rushed over. He wasn't responding. His hands were cold. The staff paused all machines and called emergency services.
At 8:17 p.m.,
paramedics arrived within minutes. They tried CPR and a defibrillator, but his heartbeat never came back. He was pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital. Doctors said the cause was sudden cardiac arrest, triggered by extreme physical stress and possible undiagnosed heart issues. His family later confirmed he had a history of high blood pressure, but never thought VR could push him that far. The arcade shut down for 2 days after the incident. Posters were put up warning players to stop immediately if they felt dizzy, short of breath, or faint. Wu's death is widely considered the first officially reported VR-related fatality.
Blunt outcome?
A 21-year-old gamer walked into a VR arcade for fun. 40 minutes later, he left in a body bag.
Falls. December 21st, 2017. Moscow, Russia.
44-year-old Maxim V was home alone in his apartment on Marshal Zhukov Avenue. It was a cold winter night.
Around 10:30 p.m.
He had just set up his brand-new HTC Vive VR headset. Wires on the floor, 2 motion sensors taped to bookshelves. He launched a VR climbing game where players scale high-rise buildings and cliffs. Neighbors heard loud crashing but assumed he dropped furniture. Inside the apartment, Maxim was fully immersed. Investigators later said he likely tried to step forward or lean into a ledge while climbing in-game. Wearing socks on a polished wooden floor didn't help.
Around 11 p.m.,
he lost his balance. He tripped over a glass coffee table, smashed through it, hit his head on the sharp edge, and fell hard onto the floor. The impact caused severe skull trauma and massive blood loss. There were no screams, just silence. He was found the next morning by a relative who came to check on him after he stopped answering calls. Police confirmed there were no signs of struggle or break-in. The VR headset was still on his head. The game was still running. Blood was splattered on broken glass and tangled wires. Investigators ruled the cause of death: accidental fatal head injury while using a virtual reality headset. Russian media reported it as the first VR-related death in the country. It sparked a wave of debates about safety in confined spaces, furniture hazards, and the risks of full-body movement. VR games. His crash was so violent that cut glass pieces were found embedded in his neck and shoulders. Paramedics said even if someone was in the room, he would have bled out in minutes.
Blunt outcome.
Maxim put on a VR headset to climb a digital skyscraper. He died on his living room floor.
Marathon. January 7th, 2019. Kaohsiung, Taiwan.
19-year-old college student Chen Yong walked into an internet cafe
Around 10 a.m.
and booked a private VR booth. He spent the day switching between VR shooters and adventure games, only stopping briefly for instant noodles and energy drinks. By midnight, he had already been playing for more than 14 hours. Security cameras showed him rubbing his eyes, stretching a little, then immediately diving back into VR. He barely moved. No real sleep, no real food.
Around 3 a.m.,
a staff member walked past and saw him still wearing the headset, sitting motionless. They assumed he was resting.
At 7:30 a.m.,
another worker tried to wake him. He didn't respond. His skin was cold. The VR headset was still on his face. Paramedics arrived fast, but he was already gone. Doctors later said he died from sudden cardiac failure, likely caused by extreme gaming fatigue, long periods of physical inactivity, high caffeine intake, and lack of sleep. Police confirmed he had been inside the cafe for more than 23 hours straight. His parents said he had a history of heart rhythm problems, but never imagined VR gaming could trigger something fatal. After his death, the cafe put up warning signs and started limiting continuous VR playtime.
Blunt outcome?
Chen logged into VR and never came back out.
Fatal fall. July 14th, 2021. Sao Paulo, Brazil.
32-year-old Rodolfo de Souza was home alone in his apartment on the 5th floor of a residential building.
Around 9 p.m.,
he put on his VR headset to play a boxing and fitness game. His wife was working a night shift, so no one else was around. According to investigators, Rodolfo was moving fast, throwing punches, stepping backward and sideways in his living room. The problem was, his apartment had no safety barriers near the balcony door, and the sliding glass door had been left slightly open because of the summer heat.
At around 9:20 p.m.,
neighbors heard a scream and a loud crash. Rodolfo had tripped or stepped backward while in VR, stumbled through the open door, and fallen off his balcony. He dropped 5 floors and landed on the concrete pavement below. Paramedics arrived quickly, but he had suffered massive head and chest trauma and was pronounced dead at the scene. Police confirmed there were no signs of foul play. The VR headset was still on his head when they found him, cracked and soaked with blood. Investigators ruled it an accidental death caused by loss of spatial awareness while using virtual reality equipment. Family members later said he had recently started using VR for workouts and never installed safety mats or barriers. His death was reported across Brazilian media as one of the country's first fatal VR accidents.
Blunt outcome?
He tried to box in VR and fell 5 stories to his death.
Heart attack. March 25th, 2020. Moscow, Russia.
30-year-old Denis Danya Petrov was at home
At around 11 p.m.,
playing a VR horror game alone in his room. According to his roommate, Dennis had been stressed lately but used VR gaming to relax at night. He launched a game similar to Resident Evil 7 VR, involving dark hallways, jump scares, and sudden enemy attacks.
Around 11:45 p.m.,
The roommate heard a loud thud from Dennis's room, but thought he just knocked something over.
At 1 a.m.,
He went to check on him and found Dennis collapsed on the floor, still holding one VR controller. The headset was on his head, the game still running. He wasn't breathing. Paramedics were called immediately, but when they arrived, he was already dead. Later, medical reports confirmed the cause of death as acute heart failure brought on by cardiac arrhythmia, triggered by sudden stress and shock while playing the VR horror game. Dennis was known to have a weak heart but never thought VR could push it too far. His family said he had been to a doctor months earlier for chest pains, but no serious condition was diagnosed. The incident was reported by Russian news agency TASS as one of the first cases where a VR horror game directly contributed to someone's death. After the accident, doctors warned that high adrenaline VR content, especially horror or extreme simulations, can trigger fatal reactions in people with heart issues, even if they're young.
blunt outcome,
Denny put on a VR headset to get scared for fun. His heart never recovered.
glass table. August 27th, 2021. Hyderabad, India.
27-year-old Sai Anjan was at home in his family's living room around 8 p.m., playing a fast-paced VR fighting game using a standalone VR headset. The room wasn't cleared for space. A glass coffee table sat right in the center. According to his brother, Sai was fully immersed, throwing punches and stepping aggressively around the room.
At around 8:30 p.m.,
He tried to dodge an attack in-game, jumped sideways, and lost his footing. He crashed directly onto the glass table. The glass shattered instantly. A large shard cut deep into his neck and lower jaw, severing a major artery. His brother rushed in after hearing the crash and found him bleeding heavily, the headset still strapped to his face, controllers on the floor. The family tried to stop the bleeding with towels while calling emergency services. By the time paramedics arrived, he had lost too much blood. He was pronounced dead during transport to the hospital. Doctors later confirmed he died from hemorrhagic shock due to severe neck trauma. The incident was reported by local news as a tragic example of VR's physical danger when used in cluttered spaces. Afterward, police advised residents to clear furniture and use safety mats when playing any active VR games. His headset was recovered with bloodstains and cracked lenses.
Blunt outcome.
One bad step in VR, and he bled out on his living room floor.
VR isn't just a game. When people forget the real world around them, it can kill. From heart attacks to fatal falls and glass-shattering injuries, every story here shows the same thing. Your body is still in reality, even if your mind isn't. If you play VR, clear your space, know your limits, and don't ignore your heart or your surroundings. Because these people didn't think it would happen to them either, and now their stories are warnings. Stay alive, stay aware, and if you want more stories like this, hit subscribe.